Iowa and Connecticut. UConn, the winningest program in the history of women's college basketball with 11 titles. Iowa trying to get to its third Final Four and its second straight, in its third Final Four, trying to get to its second straight national championship game. Aaliyah Edwards and Hannah Stuelke will jump it up. And this semifinal show is underway. A trip to the national championship game to face South Carolina on the line as Connecticut turns it over on the very first possession.
See Connecticut extending pressure. Nika Mule will have the primary defensive assignment on Caitlin Clark. You see her here trying to deny her the basketball.
One of the things that Lisa Bluder's worked on all season is getting Clark off the ball more. Here's Clark driving and laying, and Caitlin Clark has the first points of the semifinal.
And we know.
Here's Bueckers down the other end, surrounded and stepped out of bounds. Rather, a falter did, so it's going to stay with Connecticut.
Nika Mule making Caitlin Clark work hard, but when Clark goes right, you know she likes to get to the rim. When she goes left, that's when she gets her step back in.
Here is KK Arnold.
Iowa started in a man-to-man in a zone here, out of bounds play.
Bueckers off to Edwards. Here is Shade, the freshman, takes and hits.
Ashlyn Shade is elite in her mid-range game. Very efficient from 10 to 15 feet.
And shooting 60% on twos overall this season. Edwards knocks it away as Martin picked up her dribble.
Going back to that first possession, Nika Mule going to try to keep Clark on one side of the floor. She has to work hard in order to get the basketball, and then Edwards there just a little bit late.
Clark to inbound, gets it into a Falter, who's done a wonderful job since entering the starting lineup. A Falter in trouble, throws it away. Lee Edwards on the steal. Here is Edwards. KK Arnold will take the three and knock it down. How about the freshmen Arnold and Shade knocking down their opening shots?
It's a big moment for these young players and stepping up immediately.
Clark sidestepping three, rims out. A Falter bounces Stuelke, and it's a held ball. Possession arrow belongs to Iowa.
KK Arnold stepping in confidently, created by Aaliyah Edwards. One dribble, draws the defense, kicks out.
Inbound to Martin. Martin has had a really big tournament, had a big Elite Eight performance as well. Martin's three is good. Went 6 for 6 against Connecticut last season. Something she brought up to her coach at practice the other day. Lisa Bluder thought that might give Martin a little extra juice and confidence with her shot. Bueckers, mid-range, sure.
Gabby Marshall is face guarding Paige Bueckers everywhere she goes. Connecticut anticipated that, setting screens for her.
Clark trying to shake Mule. Here's Stuelke kicking it out. Martin, another look from three. That one won't go, and the rebound Edwards.
That was an elite box out by Aaliyah Edwards to keep Stuelke on her back.
Mule dumping it in. Edwards able to get to it. Here's Nika Mule. She got it on a three. Gino Auriemma telling us he would need 2 or 3 threes from Nika Mule to drop tonight.
What have we seen defensively from Iowa? They're all up in Paige Bueckers, but hanging off of everyone else, playing contained.
And Nika Mule doing a great job denying Caitlin Clark. Now she's guarded by Bueckers. Here is Clark around the screen trying to work. Edwards gets denied, and it stays here with Iowa.
Great screen that gets Paige Bueckers open. She is elite in her mid-range game, and then the late closeout. Caitlin Clark doesn't even put her hands up. Why? Because they want the others shooting those deep shots.
Martin spins and lost it. Edwards has it. Although Lisa Bluter afterwards told Caitlin Clark, you got to put your hands up on that. Here's Arnold. Newell unable to grab it. Here comes Clark in transition. Clark tosses cross court. Marshall's three. Off the mark. A falter. Looking for some help now. And it's going to be a tie-up, and this time Connecticut has the possession arrow.
One of the things Connecticut worked on a lot defensively, you see Gino Auriemma there, is trying to keep Caitlin Clark on one side of the floor. So whether it's defending in ball screen action or when she has the ball, just keeping her on one side. Why? Because her vision is elite and she can find open players if she's allowed to be in the middle.
Averaging 9 assists per game, leading the nation. Here is Bueckers. Bueckers leaning, can't hit, rebound. Clark off the deflection from Stuelke. Connecticut back in transition. Clark, a bomb. No, back iron. She thought it was in.
So did I.
Right on line, just a bit too strong. Arnold able to grab and finish, plus the foul. And a touch foul from Clark. An unnecessary one and always costly when you think about foul trouble in Caitlin Clark, an early personal on her.
Look at this elite catch, Ryan Ruocco. The ball is thrown behind KK Arnold, gathers it anyway, finishes inside. That's not a foul. Did she get her?
I think on the head. 7-0 Connecticut run. And an outstanding start here for the Huskies. In the Final Four for the 15th time in the last 16 NCAA tournaments.
Again, Nika Mule extending the deny past midcourt.
Clark trying to shake free, does. Off to Marshall. Marshall will drive it, and it's knocked out of bounds by Arnold. Marshall wanted a foul, did not get one.
But that's what you want to do with Gabby Marshall, is run her off the line and make her dribble penetrate. A nice take by Marshall.
Here's Martin. Stuelke has it knocked away. Last hit shade. This is a Connecticut team that has 5 players out for the season. As a result, they've had to rely on their freshmen more than they originally thought they would. So far, Arnold and Shade have delivered big time in this first quarter. Clark bounces. Stuelke able to finish through the contact of Edwards.
Terrific screen to free up Stuelke on that under out of bounds play.
Here is Edwards. Her mid-range won't go. Clark the rebound. Iowa trying to put together consecutive scores. Clark races in. Can't finish. Stuelke after it. It last hits her. Connecticut basketball.
Under out of bounds play, and you see the screen by Gabby Marshall, set beautifully. It's always great to get a little setting a screen on the big, because if the defense does switch, you still have the mismatch.
Here is Mule. Off to Bueckers. Bueckers looking to take Marshall. Zigs around her and can't float it in. And over the back foul called against Aaliyah Edwards. Always something key to watch. An early personal on Edwards. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
In that last huddle, Lisa Bluter of Iowa reminded her team when they're closing it on shooters, their hands have to be up, something you guys pointed out. But what she wants more of right now is driving the lane. She said it looks like their defense is set to not give us any of our threes. That means there's not as much help in the lane. We have got to drive, get action going east-west so we can get north-south.
Here is Stuelke. Thank you very much. Ollie Stuelke does drive it and lays it in. Edwards just picked up her first foul. Had to be careful there.
Yeah, Aaliyah Edwards smartly let Stuelke go, and
Bueckers drops it out of bounds to Iowa.
And a really nice drive by Stuelke. Connecticut's had multiple turnovers, so we get another look here. Stuelke, get her the ball on the high post. Watch Aaliyah Edwards' hands. No foul, no foul, no foul. But when UConn's turned the ball over, at least it's been dead ball turnovers for them. Hasn't allowed Iowa to get out in transition.
Here's Kate Martin plunging ahead after they sent 2 to Clark. Marshall open, short on a 3, long rebound, Ashlyn Shade. A 13-9 Connecticut lead in this first quarter. Bueckers has it shoveled into her gut. Arnold looking to find an angle, could not. Mule drives it, can't cup it in. And here comes Marshall. Marshall off to Martin. Martin will drive it inside and get denied by Edwards, and then Shade able to save it. Here's Bueckers. Marshall gets to her. Clark back to Mule. Bueckers off the Edwards screen, lost the handle. Mule will fire, can't hit, and the rebound tilts out of bounds to Iowa.
But what have we seen the last couple of possessions from Iowa after hearing Holly Rowe's report? Drive to the basket. We've seen that from Hannah Stolke. We saw Kate Martin take it to the cup as well.
Now Ice Brady will come in for Aaliyah Edwards. Connecticut will only go 7 deep. Kaden Samuels gets some minutes as well off the bench. They only dress 8 players because of all their injuries.
Ice Brady, a player whose confidence can be bolstered if she gets going early and does good things early.
Here's Clark dumping it to Stolke. Stolke looking to take Brady. Stolke insists away for the finish plus the foul.
An aggressive Hannah Stolke is an impressive Hannah Stolke. She is really good at this, getting the ball at the free throw line, taking it in. She doesn't usually show a whole lot of emotion, but she did there, knowing it was needed.
And now the offensive rebound. Here's Clark. Clark will fire. Back iron, no. A falter keeps it alive. Another chance here for Iowa, but just for a moment as Arnold comes up with a steal. Here's KK Arnold. Clark tips it back. It bounces around and lands with Connecticut. Remember, Clark playing with one personal. She's now 0 for 3 from deep. Bueckers can't hit the 3. Ice Brady. Clark had to be careful there. Was passive on the rebound. Here's Shade in the corner. Yeah! Gets the roll.
Paige Bueckers orchestrated that. When the ball was up top, she pointed over to the corner. Make the pass to Ashlyn Shade. The left corner is her spot.
Huge second chance points there for Connecticut. Stolke bounces it. It last hits Iowa. And the Hawkeyes turn it over for a 5th time this quarter. Kylie Feuerbach will check in for Sydney Falter for Iowa.
Nika Mule rubbing around her right quad area. I don't know if she got hit, but kind of rubbing it out.
Clark talked the other day about the value as a shooter when you see the first one go in. You can see her practicing her stroke a moment ago. 0 for 3 from 3 to start as Brady misses badly on that attempt. Here's Clark. Connecticut back. Clark looking for some space around Mule. Gets it to Feuerbach. Her 3 won't go. And then Feuerbach just rams into Mule and picks up the foul. Iowa is now 1 of 8 from 3 in this first quarter.
Paige Bueckers doesn't get an assist on this play, but look at her pointing. KK, send the ball to the left corner. A couple ways you can communicate, and one of them is using your hands.
I know that all too well sitting next to you during this broadcast. Here's Arnold flinging it out. Mule will fire and hit. Again, Clark with her hands down, and Mule rattles in a 3. Gino Auriemma thought one of the keys to the game would be 2 or 3 threes from Mule. She already has 2. Clark having a tough time getting free, and Mule will get called for a foul here.
Here, once again, one hand sort of up. That's not a contest. You cannot contest with your eyes. Staring at a player, you got to get the hand up.
Well, Nika Mule is a 39.7% three-point shooter this season. You can't just give her wide open wing threes.
No.
Connecticut 4 of 7 from 3. Iowa 1 of 8. Marshall thought about it, won't take. Clark working so hard to try and get open. Clark gives it up. Feuerbach will fire. That one is good.
vitally important for the others to be able to make open threes because you saw how much attention Caitlin Clark was getting defensively.
Lob inside, knocked away. Opportunity for Ashlyn Shade. Ice Brady long two. Clark the rebound. Flings it down the floor. O'Grady then throws it away. Iowa very sloppy in this first quarter. 6 turnovers. That's kicked off of Arnold, and Connecticut gives it right back. Hey, the Bird and Taurasi show presented by AT&T is back for its 3rd year. It's currently airing on ESPN2. Championship game will be on ESPN 3 Eastern on Sunday for Bird and Taurasi.
Got a couple elite guards here on the floor, a couple of elite guards on the Bird and Taurasi show.
They know a thing or two about Final Fours.
Yes, they do.
Just a slight difference game in shot clock here. Clark.
Look at Mule defending.
All over. Mule has picked up 1 foul. So has Clark. Here's Clark. Clark being shaded. Tried to force it backdoor. Wasn't there. Another turnover. Mule flips it across. Bueckers at the horn. And that will do it for the first. Iowa turns it over 8 times in the quarter. Gino Auriemma's team leads by 5 after 1. Holly chats with Gino next. Connecticut a 19-14 lead over Iowa as we get ready to start the second quarter. Moments ago, Holly Rowe caught up with Gino Auriemma.
Coach Auriemma, you've been able to congest Caitlin Clark. Nika Mule is just right up on her. How is that slowing and impacting her?
Well, you know, we're trying to get her to go at some spots where maybe she's not comfortable with and give her as much help as we can. But, you know, at the same time, it's a long game, and we're going to have to get some points on the board. You know, we have to capitalize more on all these stops because we're not going to be able to hold it forever.
You've got 3 different players hitting threes, none of them named Paige. How does that help your offense?
It kills our offense because she's got to get involved and make a couple of them.
You just yelled at someone on the bench. Who was it and why?
Paige. I told her, you know, we need better movement from her. It's like she cuts and then she doesn't get it and she stops cutting. So we got to get her more involved.
Thanks, Coach.
Well, what a tremendous interview there with Gino Auriemma. Here's a look at Fueling the Run, brought to you by Wendy's.
It's not often that we just show defense, but how about the elite defense so far in this game by Nika Mule? She is shadowing Caitlin Clark everywhere, whether it's 94 feet from the basket or in the front court. They're trying to keep Caitlin out of the middle of the floor where her vision can get open looks for her teammates. Now that's important. That was Nika Mule's first foul. She needs to be on the floor for UConn.
And because Connecticut is so thin, foul trouble always weighs heavy on them. You see Clark with her fewest points in an NCAA tournament quarter in her career. And Iowa turned it over 7 times in that first. Now, I guess if you're Iowa, you'd say, well, the good news is Clark had her worst quarter maybe ever in a tournament, and you're down 5.
Yes.
Poor pass from Clark, and it's taken away. Another Iowa turnover. Just a soft telegraph pass from Caitlin Clark.
See here after Gino's interview with Holly, how many screens Paige Bueckers runs off this possession. There's one.
Here's Mule. Eyes up, looking for Bueckers. Bueckers bounces, and Edwards able to finish.
Sets a screen, runs off the screen, sets 2 screens, gets the ball, delivers. You're defending Paige Bueckers. You're working hard.
Connecticut by a touchdown. Here's Clark with Mule all over. Clark. Now Bueckers on the switch. Over to Marshall. 10 to shoot. A falter. Finds Clark on the curl. Clark to the corner. Martin a clean look. Misses it short, and Edwards the rebound. Iowa has not been able to play with the pace they normally do offensively. Connecticut has controlled the action thus far tonight. Here's Bueckers drawing 2. Shades 3. No. Edwards on the offensive glass. Can't finish the reverse. Then the rebound caroms out to Mule. Iowa had 3 players there, and none of them were able to claw the board. And the shot clock was incorrectly reset.
Couple possessions ago, immediately out after the quarter break, Paige Bueckers running off a screen, sets a screen, then it's going to be a stagger away, sets it, then comes back off another screen before she delivers the pass. Gabby Marshall is having to work defensively against all those screening actions.
Connecticut shooting 56% in this tournament off Bueckers' passes. Turns and fires there, out of bounds with the fading shot clock. And Gino Auriemma trying to tell Paige there was plenty of time for you to set. Boy, how about Nika Mule again guarding 94 feet on Clark.
You know how tiring that is?
Clark wants a cut, needs some help. Comes Marshall, and you can see Caitlin Clark is very frustrated right now. Unable to get any breathing room against Mule. Edwards nearly comes up with a steal, and now Stolke gives it away. Iowa completely disjointed in this first half. Edwards the deep catch, could not finish it. Clark finds Stolke beautifully, and Stolke lays it in. 8 points for Stolke, who is 4 of 4 from the floor.
Great get-ahead pass by Caitlin Clark, and the velocity on her passes allows them to be delivered on the money.
3 assists for Clark, who has more than any player in NCAA tournament history. Here's Arnold, turning the corner and laying it in as she snakes around Martin. How about KK Arnold, the freshman with 8 points in this first half, has not missed. Clark sidestepping 3 is off the mark again. And Mule out of bounds, so Iowa catches a break here as Clark is now 0 for 4 from 3.
Look at the velocity on this pass, Ryan. It reminds me of watching NBA games. Those guys fire the ball through short windows, and Caitlin Clark can do the same.
You see her transition assists, just sensational this season. Here's Stolke with the size on shade. Flings it out to Martin. Martin in trouble. Going to let it go out of bounds. It stays with Iowa.
And what's interesting, too, about the way UConn is defending Clark is typically teams try to take away her left hand. UConn is more just trying to take away the middle of the floor.
And again, Edwards comes up with a steal. Clark turns it over again, and Edwards lays it in. Lisa Bluder needs a timeout. This is as discombobulated as we have seen Caitlin Clark in a while, and UConn's defense all over it.
On point, and the big girl, Aaliyah Edwards, getting the steal, running out in transition, everything going UConn's way. Who's also the 4-time most outstanding performer here in the Final Four, the only player to ever do that.
Nika Mule continues to face guard Clark at 94 feet. Here's Stolke dropping it, grabbing it. Iowa just 2 of 11 from 3. Clark is 0 for 4. Sydney Fulter could not finish around Arnold. Connecticut's defense has been suffocating. Winner of this game will play South Carolina Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC. The Gamecocks still undefeated after disposing of NC State, and that is going to be an offensive foul, and if it's on Mule, it is her second.
And that was a real foul, and that's why the first one she picked up was so important, because that one didn't look like a lot. This one certainly does. And now Nika Mule with her second foul. How will that impact what she does defensively? She's sliding a little bit with her hips to set that screen. That's a foul.
And now if you're Iowa, do you try and put a third on Mule, who's been essential to what they've done defensively? Here's Stolke. Stolke looking to go at Edwards, who has one. Stolke had no angle. Good defense there from Aaliyah Edwards. And another possession where Clark doesn't get a touch.
And Clark is a ball-dominant guard, and she just has not had the ball in her hands very much because of UConn's D.
KK Arnold short on that one, has the ball in her hands here. Semi-transition. Clark bounces. Marshall just throws it away. That is the 11th turnover from Iowa. Bueckers connects.
Marshall went down on one end and nobody picked up Bueckers on the other. You have to communicate and understand your point of pickup is going to be number one, Paige Bueckers. Paige is wide open.
And Caitlin Clark slow to get out to her. A 7-0 Connecticut run, a 12-point Connecticut lead. Keep in mind, Iowa is a team that averages 90 points a game. They've scored 16 thus far in this first half. They're the highest scoring offense since 2014. Clark drives this one and lays it in.
Smart. Caitlin Clark should continue to attack Nika Mule because she has those fouls.
Here's Arnold. Freshman of freshmen. Shade will take. No. Rebound Clark. Clark flings it ahead. A falter. What a grab. Can't flip it in though. Wanted a whistle. Did not get it. Now Marshall does get to Bueckers. Bueckers gives it up. Arnold can't hit the three. Clark with her 6th rebound. Hasn't hit a three yet. Clark looking to work Mule into the paint. Martin sees a seam and can't lay it in. Had it and just did not finish it. Martin off to a slow start here. 1 of 5 from the floor.
Caitlin Clark breathing deep. We don't usually see that from her.
But she joked with us the other day. She said, I always find my energy again when we're on offense.
They've been on defense a lot here in this first half, Ryan.
Here's Edwards, and that is going to be an offensive foul against KK Arnold as Connecticut turns it over. Timeout on the floor. Connecticut getting everybody involved here.
All 5 starters for the UConn Huskies have scored. They've defended. They've rebounded. They've assisted. They're small in numbers, but they're mighty.
Connecticut has been besieged by injuries for a 2nd straight season. AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme, Jana Al-Alfi, Ayanna Patterson, Aubrey Griffin, all done for the season. Paige Bueckers talked about how they really had to grieve in the locker room after Griffin went down against Creighton as we send things over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Ryan, that was the turning point in the season in many ways because that last injury was so devastating. They did grieve. It was about January 3rd, and they went and had a meeting, 3 of the top players with their coach the next day and said, how are we going to overcome this? And he said, you have to decide right now how you want to handle this. You can grieve, you can be upset, or you can turn the page and move forward. Of course, we're sad they're gone. Of course, we don't have them. But if you focus on that, we can't get to where we're going. The players all told us that meeting was the moment they decided to move forward. Instead of focusing on what they didn't have, focus on what they do.
Let's take a look at our game track brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Thank you, Holly. How about the Connecticut defense tonight? They forced 10 steals and had 13 points off of 11 Iowa turnovers. Here's Clark, again going to drive it, pulls up, puts it up too strong.
But I like the decision. Continue to drive on Nika Mule with those 2 fouls. And Nika Mule is so good defensively. She had a tough assignment against Deasia Fair of Syracuse in the 2nd round and played similar defense to what we're seeing here tonight.
Bierbach fouls Bueckers. Well, Mule, a 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. The all-time assist leader at Connecticut. Yes, even in that number 10. Had more assists than the other number 10. Our friend and colleague Sue Bird. Here's Nika. Off to Bueckers in the mid-range. Can't get it to drop. Martin the rebound. Clark eyes up. Clark thinking about pulling. She does. Can't hit. Caitlin Clark now 0 of 5 from 3. Foul here goes against Aaliyah Edwards, and that will be her 2nd. Coming up, Dove halftime report. Dawn Staley going to join the set. And how about defending Caitlin Clark? UConn has done an exceptional job in this first half. So 2 fouls on Mule, 2 on Edwards as a falter is going to draw the foul, and who is it called on? I believe it's going to be KK Arnold, so that will be her 2nd.
In UConn's Elite 8 game against Southern Cal, they had multiple players in foul trouble. Here, the drive comes in.
I mean, did anyone touch her?
No. That's a complete miss.
A falter, misses the free throw. Let's see, was there a hand on the back on this angle? Maybe the left arm of Arnold. Didn't look like much. A falter hits the second free throw. Gabby Marshall will come and get Feuerbach. You can see Marshall, too, still favoring that left leg a little bit after she took a screen from Nika Mule.
But if you're Iowa, you have to feel pretty good that you've tagged multiple players for UConn with multiple fouls.
And if they win, that may very well be one of the main reasons why. Bueckers unable to connect with Edwards there. Here is Clark. Clark zipping into the paint. Feeds the corner. A falter. Martin. Back to a falter. Step back three is good. Huge three for Iowa. Had been 2 of 11 from deep. Arnold on the drive, flips it in. KK Arnold, the fearless freshman with 10 in the first half. A falter, bounces into Martin. Clark looking to shake free. Can't. Iowa turns it over again. Just when it feels like they're getting a little something going. A 12th turnover, and Clark shaking her head. To the corner, shade. No, on a three. Here comes Clark, being watched the whole way by Mule, who has 2 fouls. Clark on the drive, banks it in. Mule had to be careful there. Just 6 points in this first half for Clark, who has scored at least 20 in 47 straight games. Hawkeye faithful here. Pleading for a stop. Edwards. Unable to finish. Little momentum for Iowa. Clark to a falter. A falter lays it in. A 10-2 response from the Hawkeyes. A big final 50 seconds in this first half. Marshall nearly comes up with a steal. Bueckers can't finish it. Here is Clark. Clark thought about pushing and says, let's slow down. No 2-for-1 to be had here. A 12-second difference, game and shot clock. Clark lining it up. Misses again, and it springs Connecticut. Clark 0 for 6 from three-point range. Bueckers twisting into the lane. Bueckers not going to miss that one. And that is how the first half will end. Connecticut's defense, the story. Holding Caitlin Clark to 6 points on 3 of 11 shooting. And 0 for 6 from 3. KK Arnold, the freshman, delivering. She is with Holly.
KK, the defense has turned Iowa over. Hawking Caitlin Clark everywhere she goes. How has that changed this first half for you?
Definitely just communication on the defensive end, making sure she doesn't get to her spots as easily. We know once she gets in the paint, she's a good finder, finding her teammates up for the shot. So if we keep doing a good job of that and rebounding the ball more boxed out, then we'll be good.
You're a freshman out here in your first Final Four. You're leading your team in scoring at the half. How are you so comfortable in this moment?
Just the confidence my teammates give me, and it's a big stage, so I have to show out and give everything I got.
Thank you, KK.
Thank you.
Well, Connecticut had a 12-point lead. Iowa able to cut it to 6 at the half. But Connecticut's defense just fantastic in that opening 2 frames. Time to go to the Duff halftime report. Elle Duncan and the crew. Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. Getting ready to start this second half in Cleveland, Ohio. Connecticut, a 32-26 lead on Iowa. As we welcome you back courtside once again, Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. What a job by Connecticut defensively in that first half against Caitlin Clark. And so many people involved on both ends of the floor for the Huskies as we take a look at our most reliable team, brought to you by Xfinity.
Yeah, just really good balance on the offensive end by the UConn Huskies. They made 5 threes in that first half. 4 different players got in on the action, sharing the basketball, assisted threes. Exactly the kind of balance Gino Auriemma was looking for. And then how about the defensive play of Nika Mule? Just meeting Caitlin Clark early, keeping her out of the middle of the floor, frustrating her, picking her up 94 feet, doing her best to keep the basketball out of Clark's hands. And again, that was the foul, the first foul on Mule. And Caitlin Clark has had a frustrating first 20 minutes. Her success has come when she's gotten dribble penetration going to that right side. I expect her to continue to attack Mule and see if she can pick up that third early here in the second half.
In 15 career tournament games, first time Caitlin Clark did not make a 3 in the first half as we send things over to Holly Rowe.
Catching up with Iowa coach Lisa Bluder, she said, we're just not playing Iowa basketball. 12 turnovers and 5 assists, and that's not us. She said UConn is doing a really good job in defensive transition. They're not getting on the boards. They're just running out and getting back. So Iowa cannot get that offensive rhythm that they're used to. But as to the frustration of Caitlin Clark, during that warm-up coming out of halftime, she hit everything, and she was smiling, joking, laughing. She has told us, I have to smile so it tricks my brain to relax. She should look a bit more relaxed here in the second half.
Yeah, she has also talked about having the weight of the world on her shoulders, but what's helped guide her through it is the joy she feels just playing basketball in March, where the games are most fun. Marshall, they could use it. They have it to start the third. Gabby Marshall rings in a 3.
Connecticut starts the third quarter like they started the first, and that was with a turnover.
Backdoor, Arnold pops it in off the delivery from Mule. How about KK Arnold, the freshman? Martin, deep catch, waits, and misses the layup. But Kate Martin has uncharacteristically missed some good looks on the interior. Martin now 1 of 7 from the floor in this game. Nice hands by Marshall and a steal from Iowa.
What are we seeing here in the third quarter? Players not named Caitlin Clark bringing the ball up the floor. On the first possession, Marshall here, Martin.
A falter bounces. Stokey has size on Shade and buries her. You can see Iowa using Clark as a screener there off the ball on that possession. Never touching it within the possession. Shade goes back door. Bueckers reverses it home. Bueckers just 3 of 9 in that first half.
Connecticut knowing that Iowa would come out with a little more defensive intensity, so twice now has been able to deliver on the back cut.
Now Clark comes back to the basketball. Clark looking to spin away from traffic. Double screen, gets open, and hits. First 3 of the night for Caitlin Clark.
And the first time we've seen that offensive action.
Peeled back behind 2 screens. Father Brent, a little sigh of relief. Here's Edwards. No. Clark wants it. Swiftly up the floor. Clark separates. Back iron, no. Marshall the board into Stokey. Cross court, Martin. Attacking Shade. Martin turns and ties it. Bueckers responds from deep. Clark looking to get to it. Clark gets fouled. Nearly laid it in. And the foul is on Paige Bueckers. That will be her first.
The offense has come alive here in the third quarter. The double screen. She steps to her left side where she is so comfortable, able to finally make a 3. And Paige Bueckers comes down the other way. Gabby Marshall gets stuck behind the Aaliyah Edwards screen. Shot making happening now, Ryan Rucco.
Well, they don't give Clark free throws there. That's interesting. Looked like she was fouled after the start of the try, and then Hannah Stuelke gets clobbered by Ice Brady after an early hook on Aaliyah Edwards. That'll be the second foul on Brady. So 2 on Brady, 2 on Edwards, 2 on Arnold, and 2 on Mule for Connecticut. Only Iowa player with 2 is Kylie Fierbach. Stuelke hits the first. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Final Four begins Saturday, 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific on TBS. For more information, go to ncaa.com.
Interesting to me too, Ryan, how quickly Gino Auriemma took Aaliyah Edwards out here in the third quarter. He told us this morning, if she does not play well, we could get blown out here.
Here's Bueckers around the screen from Brady. Bueckers held up, and a foul is called. Is it on Marshall or Clark? It's on Clark, and that will be her second. Looked like it could have been a held ball.
Caitlin Clark doing a good job of not showing her frustration here. She reaches in.
Maybe initially with the left arm on the arm, but it seemed the whistle came after that when she had a hand on the ball. Bueckers, no. Tried it from Clark distance, and it tilts out of bounds to Iowa.
Going forward forever in the women's college game, if someone takes a deep 3, it'll be Clark distance.
That's right. Her average made 3 this season over 26 feet. The 3-point line is 22 feet 1 3/4 inches. Here's Marshall, short on a corner 3, and Brady secures the glass for Connecticut.
But Iowa welcoming the opportunity for Clark to go right and then finding teammates out of it.
Mule misfires. Bueckers underneath, surrounded. Squeezes it out to Shade. Shade pull up, no. And Martin the rebound. Iowa trailed by 12 in the second quarter, tied it moments ago. Here's Marshall. Clark looking to get back to the basketball and does. Clark guarded by Bueckers. Fires underneath. Marshall misses the reverse lay. Two-point Connecticut lead. Winner will play South Carolina Sunday on ABC as Bueckers lays it in.
We've seen UConn post up Paige Bueckers a number of times. There it bears fruit because Gabby Marshall is giving up a lot of inches on Paige Bueckers.
Bueckers was the player of the year as a freshman. Dealt with injuries throughout sophomore and junior seasons. Here's Clark surrounded, finds Stuelke. Stuelke missed the layup. Here comes Connecticut with numbers in transition. Bueckers up, under and off. Rebound Marshall had it taken away then, but is it a foul? It is. KK Arnold will pick up her third foul on KK Arnold under 5 to go in the third quarter. Things tightening up. The NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One is brought to you by Ford. Built Ford proud. Well, Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, these decorated stars on display tonight as we take a look at our star stories brought to you by Honda. Both have been inefficient. Bueckers has scored 7 points already in this third. Clark finally hit a 3 in this third quarter. Clark has scored at least 20 in 47 straight games. And Iowa has had a little better rhythm offensively here, but Connecticut has been able to steady things after Iowa had tied it. It's UConn by 4.
Caitlin Clark with only 4 assists so far in this game. She could have close to 10 if her teammates were just able to deliver on some of her dimes.
Here's a falter, digging in. Can't flip it home. Another good look that they're unable to finish. A falter after it, though, and the possession arrow belongs to Iowa. Good effort there from the player who Lisa Bluter says is Chicago tough. By the way, for those wondering, the KK Arnold third foul, we did get a look at in the break, and it was clearly a foul. She clearly slapped the arm. So 3 fouls on Arnold. A Falter has to get it in. Does with Stolke. Here's a Falter looking to drive it. Finds Martin. Stolke working Brady. Clark yet to touch it this possession. Stolke trying to force it up. And a foul is called on Brady. That will be her third. So 3 on Ice Brady. You have 2 on Aaliyah Edwards.
Ryan, this is where you say a player is insisting her way to the basket. And her arm comes down.
Yep,
her arm
that's
comes
the right
down.
call.
It is.
And you could see Roy Gobain doing the motion of her arms going down across Stolke. Have not been many free throws in this game. Iowa 2 for 5 from the line, now 3 for 6, and Connecticut just 1 for 1.
Hannah Stolke is 63% free throw shooter on the season. Gets that first one down.
And hits them both. 2-point Connecticut lead. 4:20 to go in the third quarter of this semifinal. Winner faces undefeated South Carolina Sunday 3 Eastern on ABC. They dump it down. Brady able to finish plus the foul. Huge bucket there for Ice Brady.
Ice Brady, a player for UConn who likes to face up to the basket, but she says she's been working on her back to the basket game, and there showing some physicality, getting the and one, showing emotion as well.
First foul on Stolke, who was in a lot of foul trouble in that Elite 8 matchup with LSU. That has not been a problem for her tonight. Aaliyah Edwards back in, so Connecticut goes with the 2 bigs here as Brady completes the 3-point play. Big response there from Ice Brady.
Aaliyah Edwards, a versatile big defensively, so she will guard Kate Martin.
Here's Marshall. Clark can't shake Mule. Stolke trying to get it to Clark. Does. Her 3 is good. Plus the foul. And Clark grimacing after taking the contact from Shade.
Clark is working so hard just to get her hands on the basketball. Nika Mule denying all over the court. This is good defense, and Caitlin Clark doesn't get much space and then lands on the foot of Shade.
Clark completes the 4-point play. 1-point game. Iowa crowd alive. They dump it down to Edwards. Mule. Back to Edwards. 8 to shoot. Edwards gets fouled by Martin. And 2 shots coming for Aaliyah Edwards.
The league, it'd be the reckless closeout. And here, Ashlyn Shade just gets right under Clark's foot. You see her there. The ankle turns over.
So Clark with 7 points in the quarter after she had 6 in the first half. Edwards misses the first free throw. The foul on Kate Martin was her first. Caitlin Clark has already passed Nneka Ogwumike and Brianna Stewart, both in the building tonight for 3rd most career points in the NCAA tournament. Edwards hits the second. Here's Clark driving, finding. Stolke gets whacked, able to finish. No whistle. Iowa bench apoplectic that there wasn't a foul, but this game is tied. Here's Bueckers, surrounded. Marshall and a falter, and it's out of bounds off Connecticut. And Gina Auriemma very upset with Paige Bueckers. And wants a timeout.
Looked like Paige Bueckers might have a clean look at a 3. Instead, here, swarmed by the defense. Possession, Iowa.
Get more Hour brought to you by Geico. The Stars are out tonight in Cleveland. Asia Wilson, a two-time WNBA champion, a champion at South Carolina. How about Brianna Stewart, a champion at UConn 4 times over? Kelsey Plum, the Aces star and the 2017 Wooden Award winner, loving her popcorn tonight. MGK taking selfies with the fans. Darius Rucker, a huge South Carolina fan and a 3-time Grammy Award winner. And Jason Sudeikis, who has really thrown himself into the world of women's hoops over the last couple of years, following Iowa here to Cleveland. Connecticut has gotten 14 points from Paige Bueckers. Caitlin Clark much better in this third quarter after a really quiet first half. Iowa has not led since 2-0. They have the ball here, tied at 45. Here's Marshall, a 3. Back iron, no. Got a good, clean look there, quickly out of the inbound. Iowa was down 12 at one point in the second.
2-3 zone here for Iowa.
Deflected. Brady able to grab it. Arnold's 3. Won't go. Marshall able to grab the rebound. 3 bodies on the floor. It's a 4-on-3 for Iowa. Stolke gets fouled by Arnold, and that will be her 4th. 4th foul on Arnold, and down the other end, Nika Mule is shaken up.
UConn foul number 2, KK Arnold, 4th personal.
And KK Arnold has been essential offensively and defensively tonight for Connecticut.
Returning for the Huskies, number 12.
Hannah Stolke picks up this foul on Arnold because she is running the floor hard.
And on the other end, you see the bodies hit the floor, and that's where Mule gets hurt. Maybe the weight of Edwards down on her left leg there. And Mule is going to hobble back to the locker room. Well, that is obviously significant, as Nika Mule now says, no, I don't want to go back. Stolke gives Iowa its first lead since it was 2-0.
Nika Mule, even for having some minutes off of the floor, could simply be a game changer because of her elite defense so far in this game.
Well, and Connecticut would have gotten Arnold out of the game with 4 fouls, but now they have to leave her in because of Mule going back to the locker room. Here's Arnold driving in, finds Edwards, who lays it home, and Kate Martin got poked in the eye by Edwards and immediately went down in a heap. Well, and Kate Martin is going back to the Iowa locker room. She is the glue of this Iowa team. Lisa Bluter has talked about how there is no doubt she is destined to be a coach whenever her playing days are done. And Mule now limps back to the Connecticut bench. Now they're going to take a look at whether or not there's an unobserved act here against Edwards.
You see her left elbow make contact.
Is it the
Kate
eye?
Martin? I think it might be the nose.
All right, let's bring in Denny Mayer, our officiating expert, official for 20 different NCAA tournaments. Denny, what do you think here? Will this be?
The play is ruled just a basketball play. It'll be Iowa's ball running on the end line. Thoughts are correct.
All right, Denny, what do you think about that call?
I agree. That was just a basketball play. There was nothing excessive by the defensive player there.
All right, Denny.
I agree.
We appreciate that. So, not upgraded in any way.
So right now they're trying to do some control, cleaning up the floor. It looked to me like Kate Martin got hit right in the nose, and you know when you do, it's gonna be a lot of blood.
And now here comes Kate Martin running out of the tunnel. We've seen entirely too many tunnel runs over these last 2 games, and Kate Martin comes out to a rousing ovation from the Iowa fans here in Cleveland. Hey, for the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to NCAA.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Sunday, 3 Eastern, the national championship game. South Carolina will face either Connecticut or Iowa. Hey, Martin getting some encouraging words. Dawn Staley able to scout this game courtside. Her Gamecocks put together a splendid second half to pull away from NC State in the opener tonight. So Martin on the bench for the moment. How does Iowa handle that?
Well, even though Nika Mule's on the floor, she looks a little bit hobbled still, Ryan.
Playing with whatever she just dealt with somewhere to her legs. Arnold now goes to the bench with that 4th foul. Here's Clark. We're going to get free. Has shade on her. Clark into the lane. Bounces. Stokey able to finish. 6th assist for Clark, who also has 6 rebounds to go with her 13 points. Iowa lead is 2. Stokey up to 19 points tonight. The sophomore blossoming on the biggest stage. Edwards, center of the lane, left alone, knocks it in.
And that's the area of the floor against the Iowa zone that will be open. That's the sweet spot, right around the free throw line.
Clark behind the screen. Clark goes cross court. Here's Stokey working Brady. Stokey can't finish it. Gets it back. Bierbach thought about pulling. Now will drive it. A Falter into the lane. A Falter lays it in. Good touch there from Sydney Falter before the help of Brady.
She knew she should attack the closeout of the big, Aaliyah Edwards.
Here's Edwards again. Center of that zone. Clark, who has 2 fouls, harassing Edwards. Shade left alone. Can't hit the 3. Clark the rebound. Clark bounces beautifully. A Falter unable to finish. Iowa has never led by more than 2 at any point tonight. Connecticut has led by as many as 12. About a 5-second difference game in shot clock. As this 3rd quarter winds to a close. Ice Brady dumps it down and an easy lay for Edwards to tie the game. Shot clock turned off. Clark, 5 seconds left in the frame. Clark on Bueckers. Clark with 2 seconds, fires it. Marshall can't hit. And that is how the 3rd quarter ends. Tie game at 51. Holly Rowe chats with Lisa Bluter when we come back.
Coach Bluter, you told me at halftime this doesn't look like Iowa basketball. What looked more familiar in that 3rd quarter, and how did you change it?
Yeah, I thought we got some defense to offense, which got us kind of going in the quarter. Obviously, Caitlin hit one. That always gets us going a little bit. But I just feel like Hannah Stalkey's playing a really great game inside, too. We have them in a little bit of foul trouble. We need to keep going after it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, they're in foul trouble, so how do you take advantage of that? What does that look like?
We got to keep pushing. We got to keep driving. Got to have back-to-back drives because they're pretty good at recovering on that first one.
Does Caitlin have to get going, or can you win this without that?
I'd take both if I was a betting woman.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
Iowa had 26 points in the first half, 25 here in the 3rd, and a lot because Caitlin Clark was able to get going on the offensive end, hitting shots, working off of the ball, screening, and then continuing to work. And you just see how much space she covered in that 3rd quarter on that one possession just to get a look inside and also delivering the basketball to her teammates. Clark with 6 assists, but as we've mentioned, she could have had many more if they were able to finish.
And Iowa did not turn it over in the 3rd quarter after they had 12 in the first half. Here we go, 4th quarter, tie game. A spot in the national championship game on the line as Edwards can't finish the layup. She scored the final 7 UConn points in that 3rd. Stokey has to take it across. Now gets it into the arms of Martin. They dump it down. Stokey working Brady and finishing. You have an assertive Hannah Stokey tonight.
And Iowa staying in their zone. That was effective for them in the third as well.
Bueckers floats it out. Shea drives it. Difficult pass. Edwards. How about Bueckers from three? Short. Rebound to Clark. Iowa has not had a two-possession lead yet tonight. Clark, step back three. You bet! They have a two-possession lead now. Brady, yeah. Big shot there from Ice Brady.
Ice Brady had some big moments in the Elite Eight game against USC.
Here's Clark turning the corner and gets fouled by Brady. That is going to be her fourth.
But smart to attack the big lineup for UConn. Reminder, KK Arnold on the bench with 4 fouls. She's coming to check in now, but here, the step back to the left, that's really good defense. Vernica Mule and Papa Clark and the family cheering her on.
You think he still has those snacks he was hiding in his pocket? Might have been nervously munching on them all first half. You know what? I got one better for you. He changed his hoodie. Must be a superstitious man. Holly Rowe wants to know if he's still eating them. Caitlin Clark hits both free throws. All right, what's the story, Hal?
I can confirm. He does still have the snack, but he did change his hoodie.
Thank you, Holly. Clark hits both free throws. 5-point Iowa lead. So Brady with 4, still on the floor. Arnold with 4, back on the floor. Edwards around and in. A couple of huge mid-range jumpers these last two possessions from Brady and now Edwards.
The bigs against that zone are going to be important, getting the ball in the sweet spots.
Clark trying to work Arnold, separates and finishes. Make it 48 straight games with at least 20 points for Caitlin Clark. Brady again. The smooth stroke of Ice Brady.
The first-year players for UConn in this national semifinal have had ice in their veins.
Clark, short, a full to the rebound. And will she try and call a timeout? She will. So Iowa gets a timeout to retain possession with 7:27 to go in the fourth, and Iowa leading by 3.
Caitlin Clark up to 20 points in this game. We've seen her make threes, attacking as well.
All right, Scott, we look forward to that. Caitlin Clark, a quiet first half, louder here in the second, so she has gotten her 20 points. 48 straight games, longest streak in the last 25 seasons. And remember, the Big Ten championship, Iowa was down 11, came back to beat Nebraska. Caitlin Clark had just 40 points, had just 4 points in the first half of that game, then scored 30 in the second half. The inbound goes out to Martin. 3-point Iowa lead. Here's Marshall. Clark wants it, guarded by Bueckers now. Clark looking to shake Bueckers to the corner. Marshall off on a 3. Rebound, Edwards able to stay in bounds. Here comes Connecticut. Brady and Arnold both playing with 4 fouls. And a knock away from Clark. Here comes Clark in transition, bounces, Stokey able to finish. What a dish from Caitlin Clark, and Stokey up to 23 points. Brady, she'll take it if you leave her. She does. Can't hit. Rebound Martin. Here's Clark behind the back, through the lane. Stokey in a crowd. Shoots it out to Martin. Martin pounding the drive, fading, and hitting. Largest lead of the night for Iowa. It's 7. Mule missed it badly. Bueckers keeps it alive. Bueckers has played every minute over these last 4 games. Edwards can't hit.
Last couple possessions looked like Iowa was in a box-and-one with the one player on Paige Bueckers.
Here's Clark slowing things down. A falter, looking to turn the corner. Going at Arnold, who has 4. A falter, squeezes it out. Marshall, she got it! They're going to take a look and see whether it's a 2 or a 3. For now, it's a 3, and the lead is 10.
The last basket was scored a 2 on the floor for Iowa. It is under review.
Well, what's important remains the same. They're going to review it. For now, it's a 2.
Oh, that's a tough one. I think she sneaks her toe back behind that line.
It's tough.
Oh. Confirmed, a 2-point basket for Iowa. UConn's ball on the inline.
Just barely.
Yeah, toe on the line, so a 2-pointer. And it'll be Connecticut basketball. Iowa with a 9-point lead. 5:42 to go in this fourth. Gabby Marshall's father liking what he sees on that left wing jumper.
And Ryan, UConn is fortunate that they had to review that, because certainly that would have been a place where Gino would have taken a timeout to stem the tide a little bit, but didn't have to because of the official review.
Excellent point, because this building was ready to pop. So it's a 9-point Iowa lead. It's a 21-point turnaround. And after this was tied at the end of 3, Iowa has opened the fourth, 15-6. Here's Shade. Finding Mule. Into Edwards, deep catch, working O'Grady. Edwards able to finish. And a Stolke getting a breather right now for Iowa.
Iowa and the man-to-man, but as soon as Edwards caught the ball, surrounded by 3, good patience, good strength to finish.
This is a resilient Connecticut team. They will not go away. A falter turns it over, and then a foul on O'Grady as Aaliyah Edwards spills to the floor. And that is the first turnover of the second half for Iowa after they had 12 in the first half.
Yeah, players just looking for the ball, but of course an undercut called the foul.
Hey, remember the 28th annual WNBA draft Monday, April 15th on ESPN, Indiana Fever. The first pick, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Aaliyah Edwards, all available. Countdown at 7 Eastern, then at 7:30. It's the draft live on ESPN and the ESPN app. Here's Mule picking her way to the corner. They need it. Shade can't hit, but a whistle against Addison O'Grady. He's had a lot of trouble these last few possessions with Aaliyah Edwards. So it stays here with Connecticut.
Iowa has done a really good job collecting the defensive boards in this game. UConn with only 5 on the offensive glass here. O'Grady with a little nudge, trying to make sure Edwards doesn't get it. Part of that, of course, is UConn sprinting back in transition D and not attacking the offensive glass.
Arnold can't hit. Connecticut now 1 for 10 from 3 in this second half. After they shot it fairly well in the first half, 5 for 12. Ice Brady on the bench. Arnold still out there with 4 fouls. Clark looking to shake free of Mule. 4:20 to go in the fourth quarter of the semifinal. Oh, Mule just snared it away from Clark. Here's Bueckers, huge 3 on the way. Is good!
That was the first time we've seen Connecticut handle Caitlin Clark that way. The blitz with 2 forces the turnover.
First points of the fourth for Bueckers. Stolke rummages inside, gets denied initially. Here's Martin, straight on 3, short, and a foul on Stolke. It's going the other way. 3rd team foul on Iowa.
Here, just 2 come at her, and Nika Mule does a good job getting her hands on the basketball, and then Bueckers the other way, stepping confidently into the three. I'll tell you what, Aaliyah Edwards has played really well since she was quickly taken out in the third quarter.
And now Connecticut on a run. They've cut the deficit to 4. Bueckers curling around. Instead it's Shade. Into Edwards. Edwards putting it on the deck. Shade bounces back. Edwards lost it out of bounds. Last hit her. Iowa ball.
Iowa's defense has been really good, swarming Aaliyah Edwards, especially off the dribble or when she turns her back.
Well, one of the things Kate Martin has talked to us about is she feels like their defense in this tournament has really stepped up, even at times when their offensive rhythm hasn't been as fluid as they're used to.
They've done a good job, too, changing their defenses, as Lisa Bluder teams always do.
Clark draws 2. There's the trap. Marshall in trouble. Gets it across to Martin. 6 to shoot. Martin working Bueckers. Martin, tough finish. Six-point Iowa lead. 2:50 to go. A date with undefeated South Carolina on the line. Arnold into the lane, dips under, and finishes beautifully. And now Connecticut will take a timeout. 2:38 to go in the fourth. And we are getting the finish that everybody was hoping for. A tight game down the stretch.
So much talk about Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. Well, how important are the others? Kate Martin with just a tough finish over Paige Bueckers, and then the freshman KK Arnold with the spin and the finish. Buckle up.
So Iowa basketball leading by 4, 2:38 to go in this fourth. Both teams 2 timeouts remaining. Iowa trying to get back to the national championship game for a second straight year. They have never won the national championship. UConn is seeking its 13th national championship game appearance. They are 11-1 all time. Their only loss came to South Carolina 2 years ago as we send things over to Holly.
Back in 2019, Iowa was 1 win short of getting to the Final Four with that great team and Megan Gustafson. From that loss, Lisa Bluder flew straight back to West Des Moines, Iowa, and went to a home visit at Caitlin Clark's house. And she said, look, we're this close, 1 game away from the Final Four. All we need is you. And now back-to-back years, here they are playing for a spot in the national championship. That home visit changed the course of this program and put them on a stage they hadn't been before, thanks to Caitlin Clark. Can she close this out?
And Lisa Bluder doesn't get enough credit for allowing Caitlin to be Caitlin, for allowing that young woman to take the logo threes, to play as freely as she has throughout the course of her career.
Under 2:30 to go. Clark trying to get free. Instead, it's Marshall. 15 to shoot. Iowa by 4. Martin off the handoff. Martin putting it on the deck, spinning inside, and finishing. Kate Martin wants this. Martin, Marshall, Clark know they are all staring graduation in the face. Bueckers, the mid-range dish, and Edwards, the beautiful finish. What a decision by Paige Bueckers. And Aaliyah Edwards having a huge second half, up to 17 points. 4-point Iowa lead. Clark, the catch. Clark can't finish it. Rebound Edwards. Clark wanted a whistle, did not get it. An opportunity for Connecticut. 1:25 to go. Connecticut trailing by 4. Oriema directing traffic. Bueckers gets free in the corner. Misses it short. Follows it up. And it's taken away. Iowa basketball with 1:05 to go. What a golden opportunity there for UConn as Mule gives the foul to Clark. That will be number 3 on Nika Mule. Just the second team foul on Connecticut. Not sure why Looked like she was almost intentionally fouling Clark there.
I actually kind of like it. It gave her team a chance to regroup. Oh, they're playing the foul game with this much time.
Very interesting.
I thought Mule just did that to kind of give her team a breath and a chance to huddle up.
A falter. Gets it into Stolke. Stolke looking to hand it off to Clark. Instead going to wait. Trying to hand it to Martin. Martin then throws it away. Here comes Mule with Bueckers. Arnold jitters through. Mule, a three is good. It's a one-point game. The pressure from Connecticut forces the turnover, and now it's a one-point game, and Connecticut can play straight-up defense if they want with a 9-second differential.
I mean, incredible. They push it the other way. Nika Mule, who has been quiet offensively in the second half, hits a huge three.
First points of the second half for Nika Mule.
Just active hands by Aaliyah Edwards, and then losing balance, active hands by Nika Mule, coming the other way, spinning back out, wants to get Bueckers a touch if she can. No, KK back to Nika.
And it felt like Kate Martin was afraid of the backcourt there.
Even though it had been tipped.
Exactly. Iowa now down to one timeout remaining. Connecticut has given 3 fouls, Iowa 3. 39 seconds to go. If you're Connecticut, with just a 9-second difference game and shot clock, you could still play straight up here.
Of course, 9 seconds is plenty of time.
Especially you can advance it on a timeout.
Yes.
Here's Martin. Martin trying to get it into Marshall or Clark. It's into Clark. Clark being guarded by Mule. Clark running some clock. Comes down to this. Iowa leading by 1. 9-second difference game and shot clock. Clark running time. 10 on the shot clock. Clark waiting. Clark on the move. Finds Stolke. Stolke dishes. It's taken away by Arnold. Saves to Edwards. And Connecticut takes the timeout. Now, they would have to take another timeout in order to advance the basketball.
So they send 2 to Caitlin Clark as time's running out, and high hands. Great job by KK Arnold to get that.
Correction, they cannot take back-to-back timeouts, so they're going to have to inbound this from the backcourt.
Paige Bueckers should have dribbled it into the front court so that they could inbound from there. Because they made the pass after corralling the basketball, they are no longer able to advance it to the front court.
If they had called the timeout as soon as they had retained possession, then they would have been able to advance it.
Correct.
A little homage to Doris Burke I see there. All right, here it is, Rebecca. Connecticut 1 timeout remaining, down 1, 9.3 to go.
Paige Bueckers has to have the ball in her hands to make the decision, shot or pass.
They put a little more time on the clock, so 10.8 seconds remaining. Clark had it in her hands, gave it up, and Iowa turns it over. Now it's Connecticut, down 1. A trip to the title game on the line. Mule, the drive, 5 seconds left. Looking for Bueckers and an offensive foul. An offensive foul on Edwards with 3.9 to go.
They were trying to set a screen for Paige Bueckers to get a look here. Aaliyah Edwards barely leaning, and the foul is called. Oof.
Gabby Marshall, who has made critical defensive plays at the end of games throughout the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament, celebrates after a very difficult whistle for UConn to swallow.
And it looked like Nika Mule may have been able to turn the corner and continue to penetrate to the basket and not have to look for a flare screen, because, of course, Connecticut didn't need a three.
Now Iowa, after taking its final timeout, going to have to inbound this cleanly. They've had a little trouble with Connecticut's pressure over the last few possessions.
If you can deny and not allow the ball to come in, try to get a steal, but you also would consider fouling before the ball came in so that you retain the full 3.9.
Right. In the college game, as long as the player you foul is involved in the play, you can foul before the ball is inbounded without additional penalty. Kate Martin to inbound. Iowa leading by 1. 4.6 to go in the fourth. Martin finds Clark. Clark is fouled by Bueckers. 3.1 to go. 2 free throws coming for Caitlin Clark. It has been tough sledding for both stars offensively tonight. Remember, Connecticut does have a timeout remaining, so they will be able to advance the basketball.
First, they have to make sure they corral a rebound if Clark misses her second free throw.
And you could see her dad saying, we need both. Clark, an 86% free throw shooter. She is 3 for 3 from the line tonight. And drains the first.
Box out's vital.
Biggest free throw of Caitlin's decorated career is no good. Rebound to Falter. And what's it going to be? A held ball. And Iowa has the possession arrow. Iowa has the possession arrow and controls.
Such an overlooked part of the game. Boxing out on the free throw.
Not overlooked by you. 1.1 to go. Iowa out of timeouts. Clark bounces off of Bueckers out of bounds with just 1/10 of a second remaining. What a brilliant play by Clark. And there is barely any time left.
.3 has to go off the clock. What was the clock at when she threw it off of Bueckers?
1.1. But I think it may have taken an extra hop inbounds. Let's see. Boom, boom. Maybe .7 it'll be at. We're going to put it at .8. It has been a grind to the finish here. An offensive foul called against Edwards prevented a potential game-winning attempt from Connecticut. They're going to move it to .8 or .3. Let's see. They're still discussing at the scorer's table. Now they go to .8. Clark to inbound. Iowa by 2. .8 to go. And that will do it. Iowa survives Connecticut and heads back to the national championship game. Caitlin Clark and Iowa will face undefeated South Carolina with a championship on the line Sunday 3 Eastern on ABC. And the improbable run for UConn that Gino Auriemma said was his most surprising trip to the Final Four since his first in 1991 ends with heartbreak tonight.
An Iowa team all season long, when times have gotten tough or when they've been down, Like in that Big Ten championship game, they have found a way to get an answer and to move on. And it's not just Caitlin Clark, but her teammates as well here in the second half just came up big time and time again.
So it is set. Undefeated South Carolina faces Iowa Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC in what will be Caitlin Clark's final collegiate game as we send things over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Hannah Stolke, I want to start with you. You were so strong inside tonight. How did you take advantage of the opportunities you kept getting?
Yeah, my teammate just did a great job of getting me the ball in there, and I just went to work. And, you know, Caitlin here, she's a great passer, so she's always getting me the ball when I need it, and she's...
It was tough against Aaliyah Edwards. You guys had monster battles, getting position, getting rebounding. How did you hold your ground?
Yeah, I just stayed strong throughout the whole game. She played a tremendous game. She's a great player, but...
Two kids from Iowa, Cedar Rapids, West Des Moines. Caitlin, this was a hard ending. What did your team do to close out this win?
Well, I thought we started off the fourth quarter really good. Came up with some big baskets. Hannah came up with some big baskets. Kate was tremendous. And then Cindy Falter just does what she does and gets, you know, big rebounds when we need them the most. And just resilient. Our offense wasn't great tonight. We played great defense, and sometimes that's what you need to win. So I'm just proud of our girls to find a way to win.
Nika Mule was like in your face the whole night. It was hard for you. How did you avoid getting frustrated and find your teammates like Hannah all night?
Yeah, you know, I think that's what you're going to see at this point. You know, they're going to really sell out on me. I thought my teammates stepped up and did a really good job. Made some big baskets when we needed it, so I couldn't be more proud of them. It takes all 5 of us.
Back in the national championship game again. What will it take to beat South Carolina?
It's going to take 1 through 5. You know, they're so skilled. They played a great game today, and you know, at this point, anybody can take it, and you got to go and prep. You got one day to take care of yourself, so we'll be ready.
Yep, what she said.
What she said. All right, see you guys. Thank you.
Well, it is now time for our Capital One rewarding performance. And Hannah Stolke was tremendous tonight.
She certainly was. She was able to score. She came in and drove to the basket, asserted herself, and was a prime target for Caitlin Clark. Passes, Hannah Stolke coming up huge, the sophomore in one of the biggest games of her career.
Lisa Bluder talks about her being soft-hearted, said she needed her to be steel-hearted. She was tonight. For our producer, Kerry Callahan, our director, Jimmy Platt, Holly Rowe, Rebecca Lobo, and our entire crew, I'm Ryan Rucco. Join us Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC. For now, it's back to SVP.